everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. I am Gary Mack, and I'm joined, as per usual, by the great, the one, the only, Mr. Rich Baxter. Rich, how are you?
All right, Gary. Thank you for the great introduction, and you're great yourself. I got to say that. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing fine, Rich. We are a mere, what, 4 days away from opening day. Five for some teams, maybe. Some opening on Friday as we record this on the 3rd of April, Sunday. Uh, and my Metsies are opening up on Thursdays. Your Phillies are opening up on Friday. And it's a great time of the year, Rich.
Yes, it is a wonderful time indeed. And this past off day that I had from work, I went out and picked up my edition of Athlon Sports, the baseball edition. Been waiting all winter for this thing into the spring now. And finally, they were able to put it out. There's a couple of them out, not as many as there used to be. I guess due to uh, the work lockout, whatever you want to call it. A lot of the publications couldn't get theirs done, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was nice to read through this. I just had a chance to this morning a little bit, previews all the players, ranks them for fantasy baseball leagues starting up soon. Probably this week is a big time for that. There's a big section on draft picks here, draft prospects rather. If you can see that on our YouTube, kind of playing tricks with the camera there because I got my
Yeah.
background on. But yeah, 224 pages, all talking about baseball and of course their preview. But let's not keep our listeners in the dark. This is our special edition for our MLB picks this week as well for the season 2022. We'll be getting to that towards the end of the show, so stay tuned. Gary and I are going to give you our picks for the best teams and who may win the World Series this year.
And Rich, talking about opening day, let me ask you a question. Do you know which pitcher has the most opening day starts of any pitchers?
Wow, that would have to be a guy that's was pitching for a long time. Obviously. Hmm. That's a good question. Probably somebody in the recent, say, 30 years. Gosh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan. I'm gonna guess.
Well, that's a good guess. Actually, he's a teammate of Nolan Ryan, or was a teammate at one point in time. And the answer is Tom Seaver with 16 starts. He holds the record for the most starts in the opening day starts. And as you originally said, that it's people with longevity, and the guys after him are all big names and a lot of Hall of Famers. I'll just give you a few here. Tied for second is Steve Carlton. He had 14 starts. Randy Johnson with 14 starts. Walter Johnson with 14 starts. Jack Morris. There you go. You're showing it on there now. With 14 starts. And let's see who else we got. Roger Clemens then with 13. And Robin Roberts, one of your guys, the Philly guy, with 13. Justin Verlander with 12. Grover Cleveland Alexander with 12. Burt Blyleven with 12. And then here's one that I was shocked about. Well, not shocked, but surprised. Felix Hernandez. Remember him, Rich? With
Yeah.
Seattle?
Yes,
He
King
had
Felix.
Yeah, he had 11, and there's a guy you don't really hear about too much anymore. Mentioned as one of the top pitchers of all time, but he's on this list. CC Sabathia with 11. Dennis Martinez with 11, and that's about as far as the list goes. That's on MLB.com if anybody's interested in reading about the pitches. But I thought that was an interesting stat with the whole opening day thing that would, we're here almost, and I was kind of surprised with Seaver, but he made his first start at 23 years old in 1968, and his last one at 41 in 1986. So, pretty interesting stuff, and you can read all about it on MLB.com.
Very cool. Yeah, that it takes a real road warrior, so to speak, to start games year after year for teams now, simply because of free agency. A lot of guys move around. They may not get the opening nod for some reason. It used to be a really big, important chore and duty to undertake for a pitcher, but now it seems like, due to injuries and things like that, some pitchers just can't make it to opening day to open the season. So, yeah, Tom Terrific's going to own that for a long time, and I should have suspected that Steve Carlton would be second tied on that list because, yeah, he was with the Phillies for many years and uh, managed to stay off that injury list, as did Seaver.
Yeah, yeah, and of course Carlton had some, he had some weird practices. I mean, what was I think one of the things he used to do? Tim McCarver used to talk about it when he was an announcer with the Mets. He talked about Carlton a lot, and Carlton would have a barrel of rice, I believe it was, delivered to the clubhouse, and he would dig into it with his left arm, and that's he felt that strengthened his arm by pushing into this barrel all year. It kept him loose, it kept him strong, and I don't know if it worked, but I guess for him it worked, and you can't argue with his success.
That's for sure. And, you brought up Tim McCarver story yesterday. I glanced on officially retiring from his legendary MLB broadcasting career. Yesterday it was announced, and he said, I think I'm happy about it, quote unquote. 80 years old now.
Wow.
Former World Series winning catcher. I used to love the way he described the game. He was color guy usually, along with Joe Buck for many years.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he was really good. He was probably one of the best ex-player announcers that I really like, to tell you the truth.
He still got a good head of hair going there, so he looks old though now, but and he was one of those four-decade players. He came up in 1959, and he played in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and I think he retired from the game in 1980. Last few years, if you recall, he was hanging on as Steve Carlton's personal catcher.
Yeah,
Steve Carlton would only throw to him, so wherever Carlton went, it seemed like McCarver went too. But yeah, he was a good player too. He was really a decent player. If he gets into the Hall of Fame, I don't think he's in. He might be in as an announcer, but that'll be the way he gets in. If he's not already in, I'm not even sure whether or not he's in. But yeah, he had a long career as an announcer, and people probably don't even realize he was a catcher.
yeah. Some of the uh, younger guys, so to speak, didn't get to see him play, of course. But yeah, good luck to Tim McCarver, and he's one of those guys. He's sort of like a Yogi Berra, as you said. He's got 4 decades into baseball, hanging around, and yeah, it'll be a sad time for baseball to lose him. But of course, Father Time marches on, and uh, you talked about on your Mets Musings show that, surprise, surprise, the Mets have some injuries to speak about.
Yes, we're not, happy. As my friend Jeff said, can't we ever have anything nice? Jacob DeGrom, our star pitcher, came down with tightness in his right shoulder, and they had a fancy term for it, scapular reaction, I think it's called. I might have that wrong, but they didn't explain what that is. Apparently, it's more like an irritation or soreness, so they're gonna shut him down for 4 weeks, and uh, then re MRI it and go from there. So we're not going to see him probably till June. I mean, 4 weeks going to put us in May, and you figure he's going to need another 2, 3, 4 weeks to get ready again. And you have to wonder if this is a result of the shortened spring training. But just after we got the news about DeGrom, a day later, Max Scherzer, who the Mets signed to bolster the starting rotation, he was scratched from his start yesterday, and he had some tightness in hamstring. Now he says it's nothing, but they're not taking any chances, so they just want to rest it a few days uh, and see what happens. But it just goes to show you can never have enough pitching, and these are two of the top pitchers in the game, and boy, we're gonna miss them already. And but that's the breaks of the game. I just saw today it was a pitcher with the White Sox, I think, that went down, and you almost gotta wonder if it, like I said before, is it the shortened spring training? Is it something else? Let's see. Yeah, who was it? Yeah, Lance Lynn left the White Sox game, and of course he's their ace over there with right knee discomfort, and so we'll see how it all plays out. The Mets aren't the only guys that get injuries, but your Phillies stayed pretty healthy through spring, huh?
Yeah, the Phillies have been sort of healthy. I don't know about winning all the time, but healthy. So, uh, and you can't really count winning and losing in spring training because you
No,
got
no, not at
constant
all.
substitutions. But this past week, you brought up the Chicago White Sox. They made a big move.
Yeah.
Craig Kimbrell, which a lot of teams really would like to have on the mound for a closer, uh, going to the Dodgers. And all-star outfielder A.J. Pollock going over to the White Sox. So big move there for a late spring training type of move here in my eyes. This season may not be set yet. I kind of figured, teams were happy with what they got so far, and look at this, a huge deal. Kimbrel slated to earn 16 million. Pollock's only on the books for 10, and he's got a $5 million buyout. So uh, interesting the way the Dodgers acquired this Kimbrel, another weapon in their arsenal, and AJ Pollock probably thought he was all set in LA for a long time. And there goes baseball. You're here 1 minute
Yeah.
and on another team the next.
Well, at least for him, he did go to a contending team, so it's not terrible. I'm a little surprised at Chicago though, getting rid of Kimbrel. I'm not familiar too much with them, so I don't know if they have another closer, and he might have been. They were using him as a setup guy, but even still, you just never know when you might need somebody. But I guess they figured they needed Pollock more, and it was a good deal, and it was definitely a good deal for the Dodgers, who just keep getting stronger and stronger. They did lose Kenley Jansen over the winter as a free agent. He went to the Red Sox, I believe. So I guess they were looking for a pure closer, and um, now they've got one.
Yes, indeed. Here's a little story, real quick, on Bryce Harper, who's a big fan of the old players in baseball. He's a constant historian about the game. Of course, he was MVP last year, and he's going to celebrate that this year with copying an old Phillies media guide from 1987 when Mike Schmidt was on the cover. Uh, and if you're watching us on the YouTube channel, you'll see Schmidt in his tuxedo with the red bow tie, and Bryce Harper now in 2022, all those years later, going to kind of give him a little homage to that cover and sort of take a page out of it a little bit. I kind of like the Phillies pinstripes on the 2022 one, kind of
Yeah,
well
nice.
thought out there. So
Is that
Harper,
Harper with sharp, short hair?
yeah, it must have been, unless it's all tied back like they do in the.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he did start off this year with shorter hair, so he's not going to be that long-haired, out of control guy for a while.
It's still he's a good player. He really. I know people dislike him, but uh, as you said, he is a big history of the game guy. I think he respects the game better than a lot of the other some of the other players around. And it's a shame he got a bad rap, but that I think that comes from being he came up early, he was young, and he was feisty, and he probably got that reputation about being a little bit pain in the neck, and it stuck with him. And sometimes you can't get rid of that. But I tell you, every time I see him on TV or whatever, he's big in the dugout. He's always congratulating guys, and it doesn't matter if it's the 220 26 man on the bench that gets a hit or something. He's right there. So I give him kudos. So I'll have him on my team.
Yes, indeed. Oh, you brought up a story that's of interest to me before we talked at the start of the show. The umpires are going to have a bigger role in this year's game. I'm interested to hear about this.
Well, what they're going to do, Rich, and it's probably about time. This is actually a good ruling. Major League Baseball announced this week that beginning in the 2022 season, Major League umpires will conduct in park announcements during the replay review process. Essentially, what they're going to do is that they are going to tell you what's going on. They'll tell you why they're checking the videotape, and they'll tell you um, what the result was and why and that sort of thing. I guess they're still working out all the details, but it's sort of like the NFL does when they say that play is under review, blah blah blah, and then with the penalty or whatever it is. And so they're going to do the same kind of thing in baseball. They have been training for this process. With in spring training, they didn't do it yet, but the umpires have been training. Some umpires expressed a little concern about public speaking, um, but uh, beyond that, so they've been practicing uh, in private. I read, and not so much during the games, but I think they're gonna do some this week probably, just to get used to doing it in public. And it's supposed to start on opening day, so we shall see. It'll be an interesting twist to the game, and it's needed. We need to know
Yeah.
why are they looking. I mean, if you're in the ballpark, it's different if you're on TV because the announcers are sometimes they speculate, but in a close play at first what they're going to look for. In the ballpark as well, but how many times have you been in a ballpark and something's happening, you shake your head because what did they say that? How could they say that? Um, so now they're going to tell you at least a little bit what's going on, so you're informed. And I thought so. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. Hockey has the same thing, and
Mm-hmm.
basketball for the most part. But yeah, really, hockey does a good job on that. And somewhere I saw that some umpires were having cameras on their helmets as well. So that might be somewhere down the road where a broadcast could pick up that feed coming off the umpire's helmet type of thing, cam. So that'll be interesting to see if they integrate that as well.
Yeah, I guess they're gonna try some stuff. I don't know if they're gonna do that at the major league level. They may try that at the minor league level. I don't know, but you know, some of the innovations are good. Some of them are bad. Um, as we said last week, I think they're keeping the stupid man on second rule for extra inning games. But at least they got rid of the 7 inning double headers, so that's one good thing. So,
Yeah.
but I guess things have to change slightly, and but this particular thing I think is a good change.
Yep. And across the summer around the world, the MLB announced that the Home Run Derby X will take place. Global tour making stops in London, Seoul, South Korea, Mexico City, and even the USA. So some retired stars are going to take center stage in this. Adrian Gonzalez, Johnny Gomes, Giovanni Soto, and Nick Swisher among them. Still going to be popping them out of the park. And so it's a nice fun thing to just sort of garner some interest in baseball. I heard it on the way to work the other morning on one of the MLB network shows, and hadn't heard anything before that. So it's starting to make the light of day. Around July, I believe this will take place over in Europe. So
I,
pretty cool.
yeah, it sounds like an interesting idea. It's too bad they couldn't get some bigger names, even uh, to go. I mean, they've got some names, but usually when something like this starts, you really want to have like a big superstar name. But it's an interesting idea, and I'm trying to read this as you're going down, and the Yankees got what? Two girls, Erica
Uh,
as a superstar.
yeah, I'm not quite
Eh,
sure. Um, Not quite sure what that means,
yeah,
but
yeah. Well, it's the categories or something, but
yeah,
it should be. It's good for the game. Get some. You know, it gets it out there to the world, they're going to places where there seems to be a growing interest for the game. Can you scroll up to the beginning again, where
uh
they
huh,
say where they're going? London,
yes.
London's
London, July
Mexico.
9th.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I'm surprised they're not going Israel, because Israel's a big starting to get a big baseball following there. But good. This is a good idea for a change from Manfred.
yeah,
You got to give him credit when you got when you,
and
you got got the opportunity to. So
and the fun part about this is, as I'm reading into it here, it'll be a reduced version of a baseball field. So it's not going to be, you know, a big ballpark. So
yeah,
they'll see a lot of home runs with these retired stars, and you know, create a little entertainment, so to speak.
yeah, yeah. It'll be. I'd like to see it. I hope they film it or something, or show it on MLB or something. You
Yeah,
know, it'll be
yeah, it's
interesting.
very interesting indeed.
Yeah. Now, Rich, you're a car guy,
Yes,
and you have a story about a car.
yeah. I just by chance I saw an article on an MLB player that still actually drives his old car that he's always driven, and that's a 2010 Nissan Altima. And you're going to be surprised when you see who this is. But Brandon Nimmo, Mets outfielder, saying it keeps me humble. He still drives his 2010 Altima to the park, and Max Scherzer rolls into town in a black Porsche. Carlos Carrasco owns a Ferrari and a Rolls Royce. And that 2010 light gold Altima, that's Brandon Nimmo. So interesting the way, you know, Nimmo stays with this car.
Well, if you think about it, what he says in the article is pretty true. When he throws luggage in the back, do you want to be doing that on $100,000 Mercedes? He's got a good point there.
Yeah,
Uh, you know, I'm surprised though he brings it to New York, which actually it makes sense in New York with the way that people drive here and the parking lot. People banging everything, but because usually a lot of these players will get cars for free for the season from sponsors around the area, car dealers and stuff, and all they got to do is do a commercial. Jacob DeGrom for years was doing Ford, a local Ford dealers commercial, and he was driving a Ford around. So, but good on him that he's not spending his money on a car. He bought a pickup truck, but when he was drafted, but he still got that too. So,
yeah, yeah. That's pretty unique in this day and age. Usually people want to go out and buy the latest and the greatest, the Rolls Royces, the especially baseball players when they're getting that big money. It's kind of hard for them to resist that bigger money lifestyle. But Nimmo rather keeping his feet on the ground when it comes to automobiles, and probably that's the way he lives his life. So I thought that was a pretty cool story.
yeah, I think it's great. Good for him, right?
Yeah,
You don't see that a lot.
no, that's for sure. Well, like we said, we'll have our picks coming up in just a minute, but we have a little time. Gary, would you like to stroll through some listener stats before we do that?
Sure, let's do that.
All right. And of course, we're recording this for YouTube as well. So if you go over to youtube.com and search the Baseball Talk Radio Show, you're going to see our show. Like you to hit subscribe and like as much as you can. That'll keep the YouTube algorithm going. It'll give us some more subscribers as well. So check that out. Go to youtube.com. And if you're listening to the podcast, you might want to subscribe and give us a positive review. Share our show with your friends. Let them know about us. We appreciate all the referrals and things like that. And Gary, here's our listeners' platforms here. 73% listen from Apple Podcasts, and that's a high number. I know on my other Phillies Talk podcast is a lot lower for Apple Podcasts, but we got 6% Amazon Alexa, we got 2% at Google Podcasts, and 2% at Overcast, and 16% listen to us on the podcast from another platform. So pretty cool. Majority of our listeners are from the U.S. The most from Jersey. Wow, New Jersey. Thank you for tuning into our
Wow.
podcast. Pennsylvania, New York, and California. The top four: Jersey, Pennsylvania,
Wow.
New York, and
That's
California.
that's fascinating.
Yes, very cool. And don't think I clicked that before, but we want to thank you for listening to the Baseball Talk radio show wherever you listen from. And you can go to anchor.fm/ Baseball Talk radio show to find us there. You can even subscribe to our show. You can sponsor the show and give us a little support there as well.
Yes, or you could go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/baseball talk and sponsor the show or help us out at that site as well. And don't forget to check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/baseball talk radio show. That'll tell you whenever there's a new show up and whatever else we put on it. So go check that out as well. And uh, Rich, as you said, very important that you subscribe and like the show. So you'll always know when an episode comes out in case we may miss a week or do it on a different day or something along that lines. You'll be the first to know because you'll be getting that notice that a new show is fresh out of the can and uploaded and on your computer or your phone. So uh, please subscribe. It really helps us build a community and expand to new listeners. And Rich, I guess it's that nervous time for us. It's our picks of the year.
Yep, the time you've been waiting for, I'm sure. And yeah, as Gary said, send us an email. We used to get a lot of emails from people, and I don't know if maybe they went away during the COVID era and didn't come back to our show. But send us an email, rich at baseballtalkradio.com or Gary at baseballtalkradio.com. We'd love to hear from you. Wherever you listen to from the show, drop us a line. Say hello. We'd love to hear from you. Gary, why don't you
Yes.
lead off with the Baseball Talk Radio Show picks for 2022? Let's go with
Oh
the
my
NL
goodness.
division winners.
You're gonna do that to me. All right, here we go. This is pure speculation, and I have no idea what I'm doing. But I was confused about one thing. Didn't they increase the wild card? So isn't it? Is there three wild card teams this year?
That's a good question. I know there's 12 teams supposed to be in it. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, three wild cards. Let's go with three then.
Okay. All right, let's start with the NL East, Rich. I've got the Atlanta Braves. You have to pick the Braves. They're the world champions. They didn't stand pat this year. They continue to improve, and even though our teams that we love are in the same division, I have to go with the Atlanta Braves. And you want me to do the whole league?
Yeah, your whole
Okay.
National League picks. Let's go with.
All right. National League Central. I've got the Milwaukee Brewers. They're going to repeat again this year as the leader in that division. They still got decent pitching and a powerhouse lineup. So I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Brewers. And the West, I guess it's kind of hard to pick against the Dodgers. I know the Giants won last year, but the Dodgers, I still think, are the class of that division and probably the class of the National League. So I'm going to go with the Dodgers in the West. And for my wild cards, I'm going to go with the San Francisco Giants, Here's one that you'll like: the Philadelphia Phillies.
Oh wow.
And finally, the New York Mets. I think those will be the wild cards coming into the end of the season. So those are my picks. Rich, what do you got for the National League?
Very cool. Well, you're going to think this is a home type decision for the NL East, and it sort of is, but I have a lot of faith in this pick, and that'll be the Philadelphia Phillies for the NL East. They're bubbling with offense this year. Now, my only concern will be if the pitching can hold up. So that's been their problem the last few years, many years actually, because they haven't been in the playoffs for a full 10 years. They're like one of the longest teams without, I think they're second longest without appearing in the playoffs. So I'm going to go with the Phillies. Take
Okay.
over the NL East. I know it's going to be a tough task with the Braves and the Mets, of course, with their pickups, but write me down for the Phillies. And over in the Central, Gary, I tied your pick, the Milwaukee Brewers. They're going to, I think, repeat. I'm surprised they didn't go further last year, and we'll see if they can do that this year. Made
Yes.
some nice acquisitions in the offseason. They're just a scrappy ball club. So, good pick there for the Brewers. Both of us tying on that one. And of course, out west, it's hard not to go with anybody but the LA Dodgers. They just have spent a ton of money. They have a ton of talent on their team. They're a favorite. They're going to be everybody's favorite on this list this year. And you have to go with the LA Dodgers to win the West, even though you said last year was a surprise. The San Francisco Giants, emerged as the top out there, and I'm very surprised they didn't go further into the playoffs as well. So that's my picks for the divisions and our three wild card picks. Surprise, surprise, surprise. I have the Mets in there. And originally, I'll be honest with you, I wrote the Mets in to win the division. And I got my little uh, whiteout going. And I whited it out and I put the Phillies in. It wasn't because I heard the injuries to DeGrom and Scherzer. I really didn't know about that. But I think the Mets will be there this year in the playoffs. So that'll be interesting for both of us as we're both big fans of the team. So that's my first wild card. The second wild card will be a team that I expected to do better last year, and that'll be the St. Louis Cardinals. I think they'll do better this year. I think they're going to get into the playoffs, go a little deeper, and they're my pick for the second wild card. They have a lot of talent out there. They keep doing a lot with not a lot of money some of the time. So picking up on them for the wild card out there. And for my final wild card pick, I'm going to go with something that's kind of off the charts. And they had some injuries, but the San Diego Padres, I thought that they should have done a whole lot better last year, Gary. And I think somehow it's going to come together for them. They have that combination of youth superstars out there, big signings. So that would be my wild card number 3, the San Diego Padres. All right, Gary. So there's my wild card picks. Why don't you go with your American League picks?
All right, Rich. My picks for the American League, a little different. In the AL East, I've got the Tampa Bay Rays. Again, they were last year's champions until something else goes on, you got to stick with them. In the Central Division, I'm going to go with a repeat again. The Chicago White Sox. Um, the Twins and the Tigers made some moves on them, but I don't think it was enough. The White Sox made some acquisitions that I think is going to help their team. So I'm going to go with the repeat of the White Sox. My Western Division, I'm going a little bit different, Rich. I'm going to go with the Seattle Mariners. They made a lot of moves. They've got some good young ball players, and we'll see if it pays off. Don't know if it's going to happen, but, what the heck. Uh, don't listen to me. This is just my choice. So,
Don't run out to Vegas.
that's right. My wild cards are a little bit different as well. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Twins. They've made some good acquisitions in their hunt to catch the White Sox. I think they'll be a little short in the division, but I think they'll take a wild card spot. The Houston Astros, still the best, one of the best teams in the league, and again, until they get knocked off, you got to stay with them. I know they won a division last year. I don't think they're going to win a division, but I think they'll take a wild card in a very tight race in the West with Seattle. My final pick for a wild card is going to be, and I thought about this a while, and I'm not sure that I like this team as much, but I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox. And I know what everybody's going to say, oh, you're shutting out the Yankees. I don't like what the Yankees did this offseason. I don't like the moves they made. I don't see what they were trying to do. They needed pitching. They didn't pick up hardly any. So they needed a shortstop. They traded for a shortstop, but I don't know what they're trying to accomplish there. So I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox for my last wild card pick.
Very
And Rich,
cool.
I'll turn it over to you.
Very cool. Nice picks there. I think we run hand in hand with some of those. And on my picks, the AL, I'm going to go with the powerhouse. It's going to be a change in the AL, I think, this year. The Toronto Blue Jays, I'm going to say, are going to take the AL East. They've been threatening to do that the last few years. For one reason or another, they've had a stumbling point, but they've accumulated a powerhouse type of team this year. So I'm going to go with them. In the Central, I struggled between the White Sox and the Twins on this, but on my pick, Gary, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Twins. I'm going to say that there's a new era out there. They're trying to build up that team pretty much, and I just think they're going to pull it all together this year in the
Okay.
Central. Out West, I'm going to say, it's going to be a good race, but I think Houston's going to hold on to this, and they're going to take that West pretty easily out there in the AL West, and I'll try to watch some more games with them as the season goes on because we both have that MLB special TV coming up in our T-Mobile lineup, so can't wait for that.
Yeah.
And I missed it last week or last year by 2 weeks, so I did pay for it. But my wild card picks, and these are some powerhouse teams in the wild card: the New York Yankees, the Chicago White Sox, and I'm going to go along with you. You picked the Mariners to win the division, but I'm going to pick them at least for the wild card.
Okay.
And that's a bunch of teams to pick for the playoffs. So it should be a lot of fun this year.
It really should be, and I can't really argue about any of the picks at all. So, but
Do you
you
want to
just
do
decide.
Do you want to do our World Series teams?
Sure, why not? I haven't been right since 1980 something. So,
Okay.
all right, my World Series teams. I've got the Tampa Bay Rays getting out of the American League, winning the American League pennant, and they're going to be taking on the LA Dodgers, who get out of the National League, win the National League pennant again. And it hurts me to say that because I thought my Mets would be there, but you got to be honest once in a while. So and look, this is all speculating. We don't know what's going to happen. The Dodgers could lose half their team to injuries and finish last in the division. Same thing for Tampa. So, we don't know. We're just really taking a guess on this and using some knowledge, but
Yeah.
it's a crapshoot. And my winner. Are we gonna do winners too? Should we do
Yeah, why
winners?
not? Let's go for it
Okay.
all.
My winner I'm picking is Tampa Bay. No particular reason, just you know, uh, my brother lives down there by the Rays, and he roots for them, so I'm going with the Rays to win it all. Rich.
Very cool. Well, that's run out to Vegas, put put a few
No,
bucks on
don't.
it.
Don't. Do not. Do not try this at home.
All right. Well, my picks are a little similar to yours. I'm going to go with the Dodgers winning it, getting to the World Series in 2022. But I'm going to pick those upstart Toronto Blue Jays to get in, making
Wow.
it
Okay.
a Toronto LA Dodger series, an interesting one. But I'm going to pick the National League LA Dodgers to win it all in 2022. I know their manager announced that last week, sometime during the spring training. He said, "We're the team to beat. We're going to win it all." And I kind of like a manager to go out and say that.
Well, what's interesting, Rich, I think we're both on the same track in that we both picked the AL East winner to go to the World Series and the NL West winner. We just had different teams for the AL East, so we're really pretty close with one another on these picks. So uh, it's you picked the Twins in the Central, I picked the White Sox. I picked the Twins for the wild card. You picked the White Sox, so we just flipped those. And pretty the same thing with the West. So we're
Yeah.
real close there. Uh,
Yes, we are.
and the Blue Jays is an excellent pick. I just I'm a little concerned about their pitching, so that's why I didn't uh, go with them. And Tampa Bay just seems to find a way to they get players out of nowhere and they become superstars. So, but interesting. Uh, I've got it all written down. We'll keep it for posterity and see how we do when the time comes, and
Yeah. I'll
we
even
could be the
upload
good.
I'll even upload a copy if you want to join our Patreon page. I'm going to upload a copy of this there.
Go.
You'll be able to read it and contribute to the show at the same time. $1 a month is all we ask. Patreon, if you need a link, send us an email. Gary, it's been another great show. We had a great time with our picks. One of my favorite shows every year that we do. And well, we got, like you said, 5 more days or so to baseball, and we'll be 4 or 5 days. We'll be into the regular season.
And Rich, this is a crazy week for sports. Big events, as you know, we've been talking about baseball opening day, but it's also the Masters week. So if you're a golfer, this is like
A week.
this is the week, the Masters, and my favorite golf tournament. It's such a beautiful course to watch, and I love. It's gonna be tough. I guess I'll be watching the Masters on Thursday during the day, and the Mets at night. Oh, and boy, I'll be on overload by next Sunday, but it'll be great, and no complaints from here. So I hope that you'll go check out my golf show as well if you're a golfer, called Chip Shots. It's on YouTube. Just type in Chip Shots or Gary Mack Golf, and
Yeah,
it'll come up.
Gary Mack
So.
Golf, because I've typed in chip shots and I can't find you. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
Gary Mack Golf's better way to find it.
Yep. That sounds good. And of course, we're down to the final four in March Madness. It's already April.
Oh yeah.
And, that's concluding up as well. So, great time to be a sports fan out there. Baseball starting up. A lot of people are going out to opening day. If you're going out, give us an email. Let us know what you do during opening day and things like that. We'll be glad to read it on the air. So, thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show, everyone. Can't wait for next week. We'll be talking about some game results with you.
Wow, that'll be great. Take care.